We are very pleased to welcome you to the Omnicorus Originals Gynecology series. Today we have Dr. Maya Verma with us. Dr. Maya Verma is the present president of Ranchi Obstetrics Gynecological Society. She is the ex-professor Obstetrics and Gynecology RMCH Ranchi in the year 2001. She has been the HOD Obstetrics and Gynecology Government Medical College Haldwani, Uttarakhand in the year 2008. She is keenly concerned in social welfare work in different NGOs and is currently practicing as senior consultant obstetrics and gynecology at Ranchi. Welcome Dr. Maya Verma. The stage is all yours. You may please begin.
Here I am Dr. Maya Verma. I just welcome all my audience and colleagues. I am asked to speak something about gestational diabetes. But I think before I start gestational diabetes, I should say about diabetes. The diabetes is a so common condition, and it is the chronic metabolic disorder associated with hyperglycemia and resulting from the absolute or relative deficiency of insulin in the system. Now, this hyperglycemic condition may be associated with glycosuria, may not be associated with glycosuria. Now, when this diabetic condition, this hyperglycemic condition occurs during pregnancy, it is called diabetes in pregnancy. But I have to speak about gestational diabetes. So before I enter in the gestational diabetes, I will like to say the pregnancy can occur in pre-existing undiagnosed or poorly controlled diabetes. This is one thing. In another thing, what we call gestational diabetes, this intolerance or the carbohydrate intolerance with hyperglycemia appears during pregnancy with or without glycosuria, and irrespective of its presence or disappearance after pregnancy. Means when the carbohydrate intolerance or hyperglycemic condition appears during pregnancy with or without persistence of this hyperglycemic stage after pregnancy, this is defined as gestational diabetes. One thing I have to say that the incidence of diabetes is increasing day by day worldwide. There is worldwide increase in diabetic patients. And as the total incidence of diabetes is increasing, so happens with this gestational diabetes. Now, gestational diabetes is increasing. It is so high, and India is prevalency perhaps the second country with the highest incidence of gestational diabetes. It is having so high incidence that it may be said as the diabetic capital of the world. The International Association of Diabetes has stated that 16.28% of baby born to the diabetic mother, means about more than 84% patients are having gestational diabetes. And this incidence is increasing day by day. So what's the cause? Why this incidence of gestational diabetes is increasing every day? The explanation may be incidence of gestational diabetes. I said the more than 84%, so 80 to 90% cases are of gestational diabetes. The probable cause of this high or increasing incidence in diabetes is perhaps there is the increasing age of pregnancy associated with overweight and obesity, the sedentary lifestyle, and the prevalence of PCOD. All these factors may be responsible for increase in the incidence of the gestational diabetes. Why you are scared of this gestational diabetes? Why you are worried? Even the patient, the relatives, and the doctors are very specific of knowing the diabetes detecting the diabetes. Why? For this, gestational diabetes is associated with many complications, the many mild to severe complications. Even the mortality rate is very high if this diabetes or the gestational hyperglycemia is not controlled or poorly controlled. That's why we are worried. The worldwide there is worry about this early diagnosis and proper management to avoid the complications which are associated with the gestational diabetes mellitus or even with this pregnancy. So occurring in the pre-existing diabetic mothers. The complications can be divided in different, mother and child, both are involved in this. So can be differentiated, the fetal complication, the maternal complication, the neonatal complication, and even the complication even after childbirth. So we can conclude the fetal complications. The fetal complications may be very severe, may be fatal, and this depends on this, the degree of fetal complication or the severity of the complication depends at what time of hyperglycemic state the fetus is exposed and how long the fetus was exposed to this hyperglycemic condition of the pregnant woman. Earliest is the exposure, longest is the exposure, dreadful is the complication. The very common complication to the fetus, we are exposed to the hyperglycemic condition in the early stage of the pregnancy are the cardiac complications. The cardiac complications are mainly VSD, ASD, transposition of the great vessels, and also sometimes the cardiac myopathy. The neural tube complication is also very common in diabetic mothers, and they are anencephaly, open spina bifida, and holoprosencephaly. And the other complication, no organ is spared. The renal complication, there may be renal agenesis or cystic kidney. There may be sacral agenesis. In latter part, if the fetus is exposed continuously to the hyperglycemic condition, then latter part, the baby may develop macrosomia, unexplained IUD, birth injury, and because of this macrosomia and the central obesity, the baby may have shoulder dystocia at the time of birth. All these complications are related to the pathophysiological changes during intrauterine life. The another complication, the neonatal complication, the baby, so with all these complications or no complication, the baby is born to these diabetic mothers. Then even after birth, the babies are not spared of the complication of this gestational diabetes. So as the baby is plethoric, macrosomic, overweight, macrosomia, if the baby's weight is more than 4 kg, it is said macrosomia. So these macrosomic baby are very much prone to develop hypoglycemia after birth. So if the hypoglycemic condition is not detected in time, baby may become comatose and even may die. The baby is exposed to the hyperglycemic condition of the mother. There is poor lung surfactant, resulting in poor lung maturity. So these babies are very prone to develop respiratory distress syndrome. As because of this macrosomia, overweight, overgrowth, the baby is in demand of excess oxygen, which is not fulfilled, for which compensation, what happens to compensate the extra production, increased metabolism of the fetal body, resulting in increased production of HbA1c, which will provide poor oxygen supply. So there will be hypoxia to the fetus, and this, to compensate this hypoxia, there is stimulated erythropoiesis. And this erythropoiesis will result in polycythemia. And in neonatal life, there will be hyperbilirubinemia and the neonatal jaundice. In later life of these babies, they are very prone to develop obesity, and they will have early appearance of type 2 diabetes. Now the maternal complication. The maternal complication, the mothers, uncontrolled diabetic mothers will have polyhydramnios, the hypertension and preeclampsia. They will have increased risk of birth injury because of the big fetus. Risk of hypoglycemia is very high in these in gestational diabetic mother because they undergo the tight control of hyperglycemic condition, resulting this they may develop hypoglycemia. They're very prone to develop hypoglycemia and ketosis also. These patients are there is increase in incidence of cesarean section also. There is increased risk of sepsis, puerperal sepsis, and the wound infection. As these diabetic mothers are prone to develop cardiovascular complications, so they may develop retinopathy. They're having the risk of developing retinopathy and nephropathy also. Now, if before we go to discuss what is this, pregnancy itself is a hyperglycemic condition. But even then, all the patients do not develop hyperglycemia or gestational diabetes. Why? There must be some physiological change in the body which is maintaining the equilibrium of hyperglycemia and euglycemic stage. And this hyperglycemic condition of the pregnant woman is probably to provide extra glucose to the mother as they are having increased metabolism, and to provide the extra glucose to the growing fetus, which need more glucose. But this extra glucose, if it is not balanced, it will cause so many complications, which we have already seen. So many complications with the fetus can occur if the equilibrium is not maintained. So, because with the few factors which is responsible for hyperglycemia during pregnant stage, and the factor responsible for balancing the equilibrium in this hyperglycemic condition of pregnancy and euglycemic condition needed during pregnancy. So, the cause of this hyperglycemia may be progressive change in the carbohydrate metabolism, increase in the insulin resistance caused by the post-insulin receptor. So during pregnancy, insulin resistance is increased, and it increased with the advancement of the pregnancy. It is progressive process. There is decrease in sensitivity of the insulin. The placental hormones plays the hyperglycemic role, and that is the human placental lactogen, estrogen, and progesterone. The increased level of plasma cortisol is also responsible to some extent for this hypoglycemic stage of the pregnancy. Recently focused one factor, that is the tumor necrosis factor, is supposed to cause more than half of the reduced sensitivity of the insulin. And one more thing, this placental insulinase enzyme is also said is the contributory factor of this increased hyperglycemic stage. For this insulinase enzyme is causing breakdown of the destruction of the insulin. So all these factors are causing hyperglycemic stage. And the equilibrium is maintained for there is compensatory stimulation of the maternal beta cells, and they are producing extra insulin, excess insulin. So if the equilibrium is maintained, the euglycemic stage is balanced. Balance occurs if everything is going normal. But unfortunately, if this maternal beta cells is unable or poorly produce the compensatory increase in insulin, the hyperglycemic condition exists in the mother. And this hyperglycemic condition of the mother goes to the fetus, and fetus is subjected to hyperglycemia. And this hyperglycemia of the fetus will cause hyperinsulinemia, because this hyperglycemic stage will stimulate the fetal beta cell and every hyperplasia of the fetal beta cell, and it will cause hyperinsulinemia in the fetus. And hyperinsulinemia in the fetus is responsible for macrosomia, as it will cause increased production of growth factor. It will also cause, because of this hyperinsulinemic stage, increased growth factor, there is obesity, central obesity with the fetus, increased demand of the oxygen, and there is poor supply of the oxygen. So I have already said how this poor oxygenation will cause cardiac myopathy, other complications, and this will, because of this, the poor lung surfactant, and so all other complications of the fetus. And compensatory H1C production, more production, poor oxygen supply, hypoxia of the fetus resulting to the death of the fetus, compensatory erythropoiesis, neonatal jaundice, etc., etc. Now, so we see there is so many complications, the both maternal and fetal, which if remains uncontrolled, it can cause even death of the fetus and this fatal complication also. So for that, the management of the gestational diabetes is very important to prevent or to control all these complications or make the woman live with a normal life. For that, the screening is done. The screening is very important. So we cannot treat all the patients in the line of diabetes, and we cannot leave the patient. So we have to choose the patient who are suffering from gestational diabetes. So for that, the screening is needed. Now, screening can be done in two ways, universal or selective. If you do selective screening, we can miss 50% patients of gestational diabetes. So, universal screening is beneficial and needed and is practiced everywhere. That means universal screening has to be done to all pregnant women and during the first visit in first trimester. This first visit screening, first trimester screening will pick up the patient with the gestational diabetes and will manage from the very beginning. Even if the pregnancy has occurred in pre-existing diabetes, which is undiagnosed or poorly controlled, will be diagnosed this time and they will be managed. So the screening is done in 2 steps and 1 step. The 1 step screening is adopted all over and it is done according to the WHO and Indian government guideline. The 1 step screening is done universally during the first visit. In first trimester, all the pregnant patients are given 75 grams of glucose dissolved in 300 ml of water. And after 2 hours, the sample of blood is drawn to know the value of blood glucose level. If the value has met or exceed 140 milligram per dl, the gestational diabetes is diagnosed. This is the screening, 1 step screening. All patients in first trimester during first visit of antenatal clinic, 75 gram glucose is given to the patient, irrespective of the last food taken by the patient, and the blood is drawn 2 hours after ingestion of glucose, and the glucose level is estimated, and if it is up to or 140 milligram or more than this, gestational diabetes is diagnosed. This is the Hardstone criteria for diagnosis of the gestational diabetes. The another thing is also that is the estimation of HbA1c. This should also be done during first antenatal visit. For this, the reading of this HbA1c hemoglobin will give the idea of glucose level 6 to 8 weeks prior to this test. That means we will know that whether the baby was exposed previously to the hyperglycemic stage or the baby has occurred in the euglycemic stage, and we can know that this patient is having pre-existing diabetes or it is the actually gestational diabetes mellitus. And the cut mark of this HbA1c is 6.5. if this incidence is the reading is more than this, if it is 8% or more than 8%, the chance of developing congenital anomaly is 5%. When this HbA1c reading is more than 8% or 10%, the incidence of congenital anomaly in these babies are more than 25%. So the estimation of the HbA1c is also very essential during the first visit to know the previous state of this glucose level of the body. Now, so we have seen the complication, the screening. We have chosen the patient of gestational diabetes mellitus. Now, what to do? How to manage these cases? The management. The aim of this management is to prevent the euglycemic state throughout the pregnancy, which will control or prevent all the complications, possible complications which can occur to the fetus and to the mother. The management varies according to the severity of the hyperglycemia and response of the different approach of the management. So most of the management is diabetic patients are managed by diet management, planning of the diet and the changing the lifestyle. So planning of the diet is done with the help it should be done with the help of the nutritionist. For the we calculate the required dose of the calorie, and we divide it in different meals and the snacks to the mother. The total calorie needed during the normal weight mother is about 30 kilocal. Carbohydrate, which includes the carbohydrate, the different ratio of the carbohydrate, the fat and protein is divided in a 30 kilocal need of the patient. If the patient is underweight, the calculated calories should be 40 kilocal. And if the patient is overweight, the calories should be reduced to the 24 kilocal per kg per day. Now, this calculated dose of calorie is divided in different meals and snacks. Out of these calories, 40% should be carbohydrate, 30 to 40% should be fat, and 15 to 20% should be protein. So this calculation is better done with the help of or with association of nutritionist. And the modification, the 20-minute exercise, moderate exercise should be done, or 30-minute walk during this period will control the euglycemic stage. And if this dietic management has bring the euglycemic stage, we can continue this. If it fail to control the glycemic state or to attain the normal glucose level of the body, we have to change from this dietic control to the anti-diabetic drug. While this diabetic regime is used, the regular checkup of blood glucose level, one fasting level, and postprandial blood sugar should be estimated after breakfast, after lunch, and after dinner. And this, if everything is euglycemic stage has obtained, this test should be repeated every 14th day. If this diet management has failed to control or to achieve the euglycemic stage, then the anti-diabetic drug has to be started. Nowadays, oral anti-diabetic drug is also used very safely and is very good, having very good compliance. The metformin and glyburide is the most commonly used an oral anti-diabetic drug. And this drug, if this drug is also not effective within 1 to 2 weeks, then we have to switch on to the insulin therapy. Now, insulin therapy can also be started in patients who are having very high glucose level from very beginning. So insulin can be started from very beginning, or in the milder case, the diet therapy not responding to the oral anti-diabetic drug, not responding in 1 to 2 weeks, then insulin therapy should be started. Now this insulin therapy, the rapid acting insulin analog is very safe for this pregnant lady. Some lady may need intermediate acting insulin, and sometimes they need the combined, the mixture of the rapid acting and intermediate acting insulin. If the mixture is used, the two-thirds of the insulin is the rapid acting and 1/3 insulin is a regular insulin, short acting insulin. If this combination 30 and 70 combination or 50-50 combination of this long acting, so long acting 30% and intermediate acting 70% combination. The mixture, when the mixture is used, the 3/4 dose is used in the morning and the 1/3 in the night time. While giving this insulin therapy, the patient which are on insulin therapy need to test their blood sugar level postprandial after every breakfast, lunch and dinner, and one fasting blood sugar. So this fasting and postprandial blood sugar is estimated to monitor the blood glucose level so that the titration of the blood glucose level, the dose of insulin can be done to avoid the risk of hypoglycemia. For these patients are very prone to develop hypoglycemia. So this is the insulin therapy. Sometimes if the patient is needing very high dose or frequent dose of administration of insulin, or very reluctant of using the insulin or testing this blood glucose level, then recently the pump method is done, which is the spontaneously pumping the required dose of insulin, and at the same time it is displaying the glucose level of the body regularly. Continuous display of glucose level is being done and the administration of required dose of glucose is done. But this recent technique is not very used in practice. For this procedure of anti-diabetic treatment, one need very trained personnel, and it is very costly affair also. So it is in practice, but it is not in common practice. Insulin therapy, oral anti-diabetic drug is the mostly used practice, and it controls if it is done properly, and the aim is to just have control the euglycemic stage, and it is being done. Fortunately, with this proper screening, early diagnosis, and the proper management and proper compliance, the incidence of complications, all complications has reduced too much, and very rarely we see the poor bad complications of the fetal complication and maternal complication. Then outcome is very good even after the lady is having gestational diabetes. So this is our good luck to the development, the newer approach to the management of the gestational diabetes. Now this is all about medical management. Now what about obstetrical management? Obstetrical management begins from the antenatal period. When the patient has become pregnant, it has been detected as gestational diabetes. Our management begins from this very time. So what are the type of special to this antenatal management of these gestational diabetic patients? One is the screening. The screening in the first visit, in the first trimester. The detail of screening we have already discussed. The another thing is the screening for the aneuploidy at the 11 to 13 weeks of gestation. The another is the detailed scanning during second trimester, 20 to 24 weeks, we will further congenital anomalies. The growth scan at 28 to 32 to 36 weeks of gestation is important during antenatal period. The macrosomia and polyhydramnios should also be looked for. During each, what is special to this antenatal examination is these tests are done in all patient pregnant women. What is special to these gestational diabetic mothers are the fundal examination of each patient during each trimester, and the test for microalbumin and this serum creatinine to these gestational patients during each trimester. For if the lady is having cardiovascular involvement, they are very prone to develop retinopathy and nephropathy. So detect earlier in time, and if it is detected in time, it will be managed in time. The patient will be saved from the dreadful complication of this retinopathy and nephropathy. The another special attention to this antenatal management is the patient, the weight gain of the patient. The total weight gain of during pregnancy to this diabetic mother should be restricted to 7 to 9 kg, distributed accordingly to the different gestational period. For obese patient, it can be even less than 9 kg. It all depends on the pre-pregnant weight of the patient. This weight gain should be decided according to the pre-pregnant weight of the lady. After having this antenatal control or the proper management of the immunity, thinking that everything is going perfectly normal and we are achieving the glycemic state throughout the pregnancy, we are managing very well. Now the time has come. We have prevented all the complications. The time has come of delivery. So what is the optimal time of the delivery? What should be the optimal time of the delivery? So one thing, if there is good hyperglycemic control, good glycemic control, there is no complication, the fetus is growing normal, no complication of the mother, no preeclampsia, nothing abnormal is there, then the pregnancy can continue up to the complete 38 weeks, and labor can be expected after completed 38 weeks, whether spontaneous labor or induced labor. With complication of if this gestational pregnancy, the lady having gestational diabetes, the pregnancy is complicated by IUGR, preeclampsia, or there is previous history of stillbirth, the labor can be terminated before 38 weeks, at 37 weeks, or depending on the time of previous stillbirth and the glycemic level of the lady, the pregnancy can be terminated even before 38 weeks, at 37 weeks also. They all depend or vary according to the severity, the control, and the previous history of the hyperglycemic condition and the fetal outcome. In this condition, the early delivery, induction of labor, or planned cesarean section is done. The type of delivery we has already said, GDM is no indication of cesarean section. The cesarean section is indicated on all obstetrical grounds. So if there is CPD, if there is severe IUGR, if the fetal compromise, the anticipated shoulder dystocia, the macrosomia, cesarean section can be planned. Otherwise, vaginal delivery, if everything is suitable, there is no CPD, there is cervix is favorable, uterine contraction is good, there is no complication with the fetus, no preeclampsia, nothing abnormal is there, the vaginal delivery is mandatory. We have managed the antenatal period. We have decided the mode of delivery. Now the patient is subjected to labor. That means now we have to do, the patient is whether elective cesarean section or spontaneous delivery, we have to manage during the stage of labor. And that is the intrapartum glycemic control. What to do this patient? When the patient is in active labor or planned cesarean section or cesarean section is planned, then the morning dose of insulin should be avoided. An IV line is started with the normal saline. 1 hourly blood glucose is monitored. And depending on the level of the glucose, either the 5% dextrose is added or insulin is added. It is guided by the level of blood glucose level during intrapartum period, or otherwise 500 ml 5 unit insulin is added to the 5% dextrose of the 500 ml bottle, and a drip rate. This drip is started by the rate of 100 ml to 125 ml per hour. This will discharge 1 to 1.5 unit insulin per hour, or 10% glucose with 10 units of insulin is infused with IV line, and the rate should be this 100 to 125 ml per hour. This will disperse 1 to 1.5 units of insulin per hour. This regime will maintain the euglycemic stage of the patient, and this will very helpful. The 1 hourly monitor, the blood sugar level should be kept up to the 90 to 120 milligram per dl. Soon after the birth of the placenta, the requirement of insulin is reduced very much. So one has to be particular in giving the insulin after the birth of the placenta. Then the neonatal management. One more thing, before you come to manage the neonate, it is important. So the childbirth has, delivery has occurred. Now what to do in the just recent postpartum period? The blood glucose level is also estimated during the first 48 hours of the childbirth, and the dose of insulin is regulated or adjusted according to the need of level of the blood glucose level. And then comes to the management of the neonate. What to do? These baby born to the diabetic mother are very prone to develop hypoglycemia. So glucose level should be monitored very closely in first 48 hours. Why they are exposed to hypoglycemia? So long the baby was under the hyperglycemic condition of the mother. Now it has been separated. The other hyperglycemic insulin has subsided. The hyperplastic stimulated beta cells is producing the insulin in the same way. So they are very prone to develop hypoglycemia. So to prevent this hypoglycemic condition, early breastfeeding is needed. If not, the other other than breastfeeding food is given to the baby. And with that the check for the presence of any congenital anomaly should also be done, and hypothermia should be prevented and carefully managed. If there is jaundice, it has to be managed accordingly. We have detected the gestational diabetes. We have learned the complications. We have learned the screening. We have learned the management, and we have delivered the baby very safely. We have avoided any complication to the mother and the baby, and we are having the very healthy baby, normal mother, euglycemic stage. Now the patient is being discharged. What to do? Will you discharge the patient as such? Should we counsel the patient regarding her future life? Should we give the contraceptive advice? Yes. The patient, the diabetic patient, after childbirth, after you have done everything good to the mother and the child, and you are very happy, but your work is not complete unless you counsel the patient for her future life. Now, on what point the counseling is essential? The one is she should get her glucose tolerance test done after 6 weeks of childbirth. She should continue the planned food habit which she had been following during antenatal period. She should not stop the exercise, the moderate exercise, and she should follow this modified lifestyle even after the childbirth. Why? Because she is very prone to develop diabetes in her later part of life. She should be warned to be particular about and careful for the developing of the hypertension in the future life, for developing the type 2 diabetes. So if she will alert, she will have her glucose tolerance test time to time, or she will be careful. Another advice, as the patients are getting married in very late, getting pregnancy in late advanced stage of pregnancy, she should complete her family as early as possible to avoid the recurrence of the diabetes mellitus and to have pregnancy in the pre-existing diabetes of the woman. So the advice to the patient to complete her family as early as possible. Now, so we are sending the patient, the patient will ask for contraceptive advice. What contraceptive is advised or suitable to the patient? To say the barrier method is the safest method, but low dose combined oral pills can also be given to the patient with the close monitoring of the glucose level of the time to time monitoring is needed. IUD can also be applied, but there is increased risk of infection. So this is the contraceptive advice. Now, aim of the management, what's the aim of the management? Is to keep the tight glycemic control. The plasma glucose level is kept, the fasting glucose level less at 92 milligram per dl, and 2 hour postprandial blood glucose level should be up to 120 milligram per dl. This is the aim. If this is achieved, I'm sure every patient will have good glycemic control and good outcome of the pregnancy. So home take message is universal screening at first ANC visit during first trimester, early diagnosis of GDM, tight glycemic control, detailed antenatal checkup with detailed history taking, combined treating team, which will include obstetrician, nutritionist, diabetologist, and nephrologist. If we follow this protocol, I'm sure majority of the patient will have good outcome of the gestational diabetes, and we need not scared of the existence of the gestational diabetes. Only we have to become particular and very sincere to the detecting the gestational diabetes during first visit and managing very strictly on these points to the diabetes. So I'm now thinking in brief, the diabetes is a very big chapter. Every point need a big discussion, which is not possible without the help of physician and diabetologist. So I have concluded in brief, as far as short I have done, and you have heard very patiently. Will rule out if there is any deficiency, can query me and spare me from my mistakes or fault. Thank you very much.